Hello, Reese from the Point Music Podcast thingy. Finally got to do this one. So stoked, very stoked. Very fun interview. Got to do this podcast with the legendary Nicky Bomba of Melbourne Ska Orchestra, his own project. Because he's got his solo album coming out. Buster Mento, played drums with John Bartlett Trio. Dude is a plethora of knowledge of reggae, culture, ska, rocksteady, dub. We go down the rabbit hole in this one. So if you like that kind of music, and if you want to know more about it, and you just mention that word to him and it just opens right up. And so this is why I really enjoyed this one. Glad I did it. Big shout out to Mick Hughes from Sunny Coast Rude Boys for teeing this up too. So ladies and gentlemen, Nicky Bomba. Here we go. Recording. Hello, Nicky Bomba.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Reese. How are you, brother?
I am hot and sticky on a Friday morning. So yeah, but you've been. Is it coolish up there where you are?
No, it's actually beautiful. I mean, the Alpine kind of region is a bit of it's kind of says microclimate. You know, like 50 kilometres away could be completely different. But lately, it's been just gorgeous days, and there's a river nearby, like a freshwater river. So as long as you get a bit of a swim a day and a bit of, it's great. It's lots of trees, so lots of shade. But not sticky at all. I can't say there's any amount of stickiness. It's not even. It's only uncontaminated by stickiness.
Hey, look, you guys were supposed to, like the Melbourne Ska Orchestra was supposed to play up here in March. You didn't get to do that, did you? Because of lockdown, correct?
No, we didn't. We got a lockdown. Actually, that was the next gig we were doing, and then we had to cancel it. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock vibe, mainly because I had personally invested in all the promotions and everything for it, and had just paid for everything. Yep. So we still had to pay for all the gigs that we didn't do, and all the advertising and all that type of thing. So, but life's about change and adaptation and survival, and it's been great from that perspective, where we've been able to get creative.
This is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I started the podcast series because I've been running The Point for 11 years, but I started the podcast series in April because we couldn't do anything. So
exactly, yeah.
The main reason was to chat to musos and see the creative process that this lockdown shit has actually created. And a lot of people adapted.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually heightened in many ways because when you're doing anything creative and you're doing an album, even painting and everything, it's good to get into a bit of a zone and kind of stay there for a while. And when you're playing most weekends, by the time you kind of pack up, drive to Melbourne, take a flight, come back, drive home and everything, the window of that chill time or that it gets smaller because the week comes around very quickly. So having no gigs meant that I could stay put for a good length of time, and I welcomed it with open arms because I managed to finish my solo album, which I was kind of always doing in between.
Yeah.
We kind of set the plan for what was happening with the orchestra, started writing for that. Finished all my artwork that's been, and a lot of ideas that have been percolating for an iPhone, little recording snippets that I'll get back to that one day, but you have to kind of go through them for them to find their fruition. And my father passed away too while we were in COVID time. So it was beautiful for our whole family to come together because we've got 6 kids and be there, all of us be there without, the JobKeeper thing, which is a blessing really. A lot of countries don't have that.
No.
That was able to be there all with him, all together, not having to be dragged away from any tours or anything, and it was a beautiful process, and it couldn't have happened at any other time. To have that kind of complete dedication to being his carers for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was poignant in many ways, and added to the whole kind of topic of creative process and how you feel when your key people in your life pass away. So it was great. I mean, from that perspective, and it's still we're on the transition stage now, where it's going into gigs are starting to come back, and they are. I'm doing the smaller gigs at the moment, but they're working out fine. And I enjoy all facets of performance. And so if it's a solo gig or 25-piece orchestra in front of 50,000 people, it's all beautiful and valid for me. It's all one and the same loop.
So the main reason why, because mutual friend Mick from the Sunny Coast Rude Boys actually put us in touch.
Yeah.
The main reason is because you're coming up here to play Soul Bar and is it the Triffid?
Yeah, Soul Bar and Triffid, exactly. Yeah.
But it's a solo gig though for you. So do you have the Sunny Coast Rude Boys as the backing band?
Well, the Sunny Coast Rude Boys exist in their own right. And
Yeah.
they're very much, it's in the name. It's all about the rude boy thing.
Yeah.
And when we do with the orchestras, we started off as a kind of a two-tone, reggae kind of cover band, but we're obviously doing our own stuff now. But the whole two-tone ethic and those songs still stand the test of time for me, and I still love celebrating them. So in that concept, they do their own thing, and then I come on stage and I celebrate that genre and sing the songs that I'm normally listening to anyway at home, double barrel and one step beyond, there's the stuff that I grew up with, and so being able to sing the songs and sharing that and seeing there's people in the audience that kind of that connected the same way, it's a different type of celebration. It's really celebrating the form that inspired my sense of belonging as a youth, or songs that I've written, for the orchestra based on what the ethos and sound and energy was transmitted from those songs, So it's a privilege really to be invited to come up and basically on stage and sing songs that I love.
Good.
And it'll be more two-tone. The whole rude boy thing is really kind of interesting phenomenon because I'm reading a book on early Jamaica at the moment, and people say, rude boy, what's rude boy? I mean, it came from being in complete poverty and oppressed culture, really. The whole and reggae music was the only voice, was the voice of the people. Their sound system was the voice of the people. So you were able to dress up and be somebody one night a week, just in your finest and everything. And also because the poverty was huge, sometimes you had to do little petty thieving or some kind of scam to make a little bit of money because you weren't getting it from anywhere else, So there's a whole culture around that. And then they got a bit violent. Then there was the whole gang Rudy thing. But the essence of a Rudy is just someone that doesn't mind a bit of danger, likes to style up, and celebrates community. Really, that's the kind of the new rude boy description. We don't carry no guns and all.
I'm glad you actually brought that up because I know you're one of the ones that's really, really passionate about reggae and ska. It's still because I play in a reggae band. I play in Barefoot, so.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah.
It's hard to explain to people that aren't completely into the music they're familiar with, but they basically all they can think of is Bob Marley, right? And
totally.
And it's not no insult to Bob or anything like that, but there's such a plethora of music out there inspired in two-tone and reggae and ska that is just way more influential than what actually Bob had done.
I think what happened with Bob was he was the first reggae artist to be promoted as a rock act.
Yes.
So when Chris Blackwell took him on with Island Records, I mean, a lot of the songs that are on Catch a Fire, which is the first album, had been recorded before in so many different configurations, and with the Wailing Souls, Stir It Up, and it's an old song, One Love is a very old song, but they kept on revisiting it, which is a great thing to know from a songwriter's perspective, that a song doesn't necessarily have one life, it can have many different adaptations and versions. So I agree. I think the mainstream will put Bob Marley and reggae together, but man, before him and he a lot of people that inspired him as well were I mean you know, where do you start? You know, with the
Lee
early
Scratch
Jamaica,
Perry and that sort of stuff too.
Well, totally. You know, and Stranger Cole, Owen Gray, Laurel Atkin, you know, King Tubby, Bunny Lee, Cox and Dodd, Treasure Isle. I mean, the whole rock steady and the whole lovers rock thing in the UK. I think, you know, if I was to kind of take Bob Marley out of the equation because of his mainstream, which is you know, he's contributed so much and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and his culture was very much the roots reggae, militant, you know, philosophical thing. But you know, before that, he was a
folk singer, wasn't he?
It was basically you know, yeah, it was. They did songs by the Impressions and the Temptations and soul stuff. And so the scene and the reggae that I really love is the early ska was all about celebration and independence and excitement for something new. So all the, you know, Toots and the Maytals, I think is a big one, and Justin Hines and the Dominoes, two kind of acts that really kind of captured the exuberance of what was happening at the time. And I mean, we'd be here for hours if we talked about all the influences and singers and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But I think Toots Hibbert, I think, was probably more indicative of what the Jamaican culture was than Bob, because he brought the whole church Baptist kind of feeling, the whole sense of community and that raw energy. And I think, if, you know, having been to Jamaica, you know, lots of times, that relates to me more than the conscious sufferer, militant stuff of Bob Marley, because that was what was happening in the 70s. You know, the whole violence and the so Toots and the Maytals, and he just died recently, which is
I did see that.
Pity, but yeah. So we're going to actually be, you know, respecting some of his songs at the gig as well.
Oh, nice.
But sorry, I ramble on.
It's all right, because like I said, there's not many people that actually know as much about reggae and ska and rocksteady and all that sort of stuff, that culture, more than you do in this country. Like, that's why I put you in that regard.
Yeah, Mohair Slim, I think from he's a radio. He's the guy that I started Melbourne Ska Orchestra with.
Yep.
He's quite an authority, more on the records and the record labels and who did what with who and who was playing on which particular track. But yeah, there's a whole. I mean, I love how the whole thing happened in the UK, you know, the whole two-tone thing. That was like, you know, the whole West Indian, and having been there and learning steel pan in England, because that's where I learned the steel pan, from the Trinidadians. Oh. And there's a whole Trinidadian Jamaican thing that's going on too. You know, it's like, we don't call us from Jamaica, we're full Trini, you know. And they're all kind of quite proud of that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. And that's beautiful. It's and then this kind of thing that every day you discover something new. Yeah. It's a new tune you haven't heard before. It's the amount of music that was made was amazing. So, you know, I get inspired by that.
What would be the one song? It's going to be hard for you, but the one song that would sum up this culture for you?
No, I couldn't tell you one song, because there's so many different variations of that culture. There's like. Because you started with ska.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, let's go earlier. You started with Mento.
Yep.
And so, you know, Lord Kitchener, Lord Tanamo, Mighty Sparrow. Mento then became ska because of the American R&B. Mm-hmm. And there's two American R&B songs called Be My Guest and Later for Gator. Those two songs are R&B songs that are actually ska.
Yeah.
So they were hits on the sound system, and they were the songs they used to continue the making Jamaican music, which eventually became ska. But if you hear those two songs, you'll hear a Jamaican shuffle.
Well, it's My Girl Lollipop's kind of like that too, isn't it? Was it?
Well, Lollipop was written after.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that was 63. This is before then. This is when the sound systems were playing straight up R&B from the States.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with ska. Just R&B, and the audiences loved it. And there were two songs that worked really well. And so Cox and Dodd used these two songs and saying, let's write more stuff like this. And those two songs had that big upbeat, which was similar to the Mento Jamaican thing. And then so from ska, you got Rocksteady, Then you got the roots reggae and the conscious lyrics, and then you've got lovers rock, and then you got dance hall. And so
And dub.
if you told me a dub, I mean King Tubby. If you told me a time, I'd be able to give you a song, but it's too. I mean, I would say the song that got me into it in the first place, when I heard it for the first time and said I belong to that, was "Message to Rudy" by the Specials.
Yeah,
but that's not their song. That's Danny Livingston. It was written 10 years previous. And when I heard the original, I went, oh, they're doing a cover. And I went, no, that's not the cover. That's the original. And I'm going, whoa, no. I found like, that whole original aspect of the whole two-tone thing was like all the specials, one step beyond, Madness, Monkey Man, everything. They were all covers.
Yeah.
That was enlightening in many ways. That's when I discovered the early Jamaican, and that's when my world flipped. So and still flipping.
So you actually do a little bit of education when you're fronting the Melbourne Ska Orchestra. This is one of the things I love about watching you guys play, because you actually give a little bit of history about the songs in between that, or just because a lot of people still don't know about that. Like I said, about the culture. They know the band name. They know it's going to be fucking fun. And that's basically it. But what I love is when you're at the front and you just go, this is the history of the song, and then you basically explore that and go deep into it. I love that. That's one of the things I love. Live performance.
I mean, I did it kind of just as a kind of a way to kill time sometimes, or something going wrong with it. But people actually came up and said exactly what you said. That was great, like just a bit of a backdoor, and then they'll go and do some own research themselves. So, and I love that. I think a bit of a, especially if you're paying respect. And I mean, I was so thrilled last year. I had Stranger Cole, who's like he had Art Bella. He played with everybody. He knew everybody. He knew all of the studio owners, all of the greats. He knew them all, and he's still alive today. He was in my studio. We did Run Joe together, and it's like, wow, man, fucking, it was quite a trip. So I interviewed him a lot, just to get little snippets, because even, you mentioned dance hall, right?
Yep.
And like dance hall, you think, oh, okay, of course, that's just a style of music and everything. But, he said, well, no, so dance hall was originally a dance hall where they would set up sound systems, not just one, but 4 or 5. And they would have clashes inside the hall. And it was that was a massive part of the culture, because that was the only place that the Jamaican people who couldn't afford to go to the clubs could hear music.
Yeah.
And so there was a regular thing, So the sound system culture, that's another culture that's amazing, and that's responsible for a lot of Jamaican music, because there was competition. Who's going to have the best song of their system that week? Who has written a song about that? And so if I had an argument with you, I wouldn't. What I would do is I wouldn't actually ring you. I would just write a song about you. Reese is in the bucket. Yes, let's go. Kick him over. And
the original diss tracks before the rap battles. Yeah.
So, exactly. Right. And that was a real thing. That was a real kind of. And when I went there, the amount of people are sitting, just going to a little chicken bar and buying something, and a guy would come up and his friend would say, "Oh yeah, Nicky's a musician." And he goes, "Oh, can I voice you a song?" And so all of a sudden it'd be going, went up in the morning, up a deeper down, going, okay, and it all sounded fucking great, Yeah. I actually wrote a song called High Grade on my solo album, which was exactly that. He said, what you hear there in the song is exactly what he said to me, and I went, "What the fuck are you saying?" Like you have to break it down for me, because it's full patois. Not smoke the high grade down the gully. Up on the front page, we are come bunny. Nothing the police, and nothing the soldier. We not take the chick from nobody. I'm going, what? So we broke it down. I learnt it. We recorded it, and I did a film clip in Jamaica. It's online at the moment. You can actually see it.
Yeah.
And that was like, one person, one little incident, So it's part of the culture,
Yeah.
And having said that, I'm of Maltese origin, which is an island in the Mediterranean, and there are similarities with the Jamaican culture is that making up stuff on the spot, and making kind of like little songs out of anything. I mean, there's a Maltese phrase that says, it's a type of singing called spiritu prance, which just means quick spirit, where you have to make up stuff about, you know, your local village who didn't, you know, grow your zucchinis anywhere near as well as I grew them, you know, or whatever whatever the conversation was. So so that was easy for me to kind of meld into the two cultures. I got it kind of quite early, especially when I was there.
So you are a full-on multi-instrumentalist, like, because my first experience with Maltese instrumentalist. My first experience with you was drumming. So with John Butler.
Oh yeah.
Because Zebra, you played on Zebra, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I kind of helped co-wrote it too.
So that actually was because I got 3 daughters, and my eldest daughter now is 19, but that was her first experience with sort of like roots music, and she just sang that consistently. What do you prefer playing? Like, because you do ukulele, you're a frontman, you're a percussionist, drummer. What is there? They all do special things for you, or is there something you just like?
Yeah, like I'm a hat man. I don't know if you mean, I like wearing hats, and they're just different hats, and they all have a. They're like children. They all have a. I mean, I loved when I was playing drums with John. That was a thing where I was just a drummer. I rolled up, did the gig, you know, committed. Didn't have to set up or sit down. You know, had that kind of had that experience. And that was beautiful, being like a goalkeeper in a band, and completely fronting the other side of that is completely, you know, fronting the Melbourne Ska Orchestra, which is like being the captain of a you know, cruise liner and just smashing through the waves. I'm not too sure where they're going, but they know they're never going to, you know, and it's like that. You kind of have to. It's a beast that you just ride on, and you know it's going to be okay. You know, you really do. Because there's enough musicianship to know how to make a night work, you know, and the people we have on board just get it. You know, it's an amazing, like, the more people who are in the band, the more focused the energy was and it's a great experience. So, and Buster Mento, I play guitar and sing, but I love those songs, you know, so that's like a whole singer-songwriter thing. With the solo stuff, I play around with loops and it's more intimate. But a lot of this stuff also come out of necessity too, because you know, people said, like, oh, you know, I want to book a band, but I've only got X amount. I was saying, well, you know, I can't give you the full band, but why don't you just do it as a duo, you know, and I'll make it work. And you know, you adapt and you make it work. And so as a live musician, and especially nowadays, because records don't make any money anymore, you only get money from streaming.
Yep.
Live is where it's at.
Yep.
And that's why it's been hard during COVID time for a lot of people. For me, it was a blessing because I could use the time to distill all my ideas, and I did a couple of things online.
Yeah, I saw that, the Rhythm Heart ones.
Yeah, that was a bit of fun, that type of thing. You know, that's I mean, it's a way of also of earning money. It's not nowhere near as much as you would when you played live.
That's right.
But that's picking up again for me now. I'm, you know, up until the end of February, I'm pretty much kind of booked out most weekends.
Good.
And just doing a lot of solo stuff and the stuff like flying up there and doing that. So I'm getting back into it. But I want to control that too. I found that spending time at home was actually really important for my development as a finishing off my albums and recording. And I love exploring different. I mean, my studio is a museum. I've got, you know, all different types of guitars and euphoniums and you know, sitars, masenkos, a lot of world music instruments. You know, a lot of exotic stuff and I just love dabbling and yeah, it's like being a child again, really, you know, in many ways, and I try to tap into that from a creative perspective, that sense of play, but a sense of like creative. It's a mystery, you know, and I love that, and that's why I love playing live, because stuff happens live.
It's a different perspective. Everyone, a lot of
those things happen
exactly,
and I like that. I like the fact that, and I look for things. I look in the audience to say, hang on a second, let's stop all this. What in the fuck are you doing down here? What's going on? You know, and so to kind of have that much kind of control and play with an audience is you know, that's a bit of a drug for me, entirely, you know. but it's beautiful, and I have to believe in myself when I'm doing that, because if there's any kind of self-conscious feeling you're going to get embarrassed or wondering what you're going to say, you need to overcome that. Otherwise, you can't get the flow.
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky now because when you come up, I mean, we can freely dance again. I mean, it felt like a whole, like extended version of Footloose where we're not supposed to dance everywhere. Barefoot played a show in lieu of the Caloundra Music Festival. We during that time when Caloundra Music Festival was supposed to be on.
Gotcha.
We did a little show, but man, it's so weird. It's hard to be in a reggae band to play to an audience sitting down. It doesn't feel right.
I know what you're saying. I did a thing last week at Queenscliff Music Festival. I did 3 shows back to back, and they had to stay at their tables and they weren't allowed to dance. Right. So, and there was a COVID police guy there because at some point a girl started dancing in the middle and he grabbed
the marshal.
So I got everybody to dance on the tables and it was allowed.
What?
You stood up on the chairs. Because they were all in groups.
Yeah.
Everyone was in groups of 5 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they were allowed to come with their own group. And so I said, tables. And they were solid tables. And so it was like, and the COVID guy said, well, no, I can't. They're not breaking the rules. They're not dancing, over next to each other. They're dancing in their particular group. And whether they're sitting down, upside down, or standing on a table doesn't really matter as long as they stay in that bubble. So we circumnavigated by that one. It's just that was great. It became a little kind of whoever was the best dancer got a CD.
That's like a musical equivalent of The Floor Is Lava.
Isn't that from Barbarella?
Well, basically, it's a kids' game when you're not.
Oh, The Floor Is Lava. Yeah. Because it's funny, you said The Floor Is Lava, but there's a magnificent film called. Barbarella.
Yeah, it's Jane Fonda, isn't it?
And and they have the juice, the thing that drives the planet is called Planet Juice. Yeah. And that's what I named my first album.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
And it was a floor of lava.
Because I know Duran Duran got their name from the scientist that was in that movie, basically.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, Steve.
This is old people talk, basically. Kids.
Totally, Showing how Trevor.
So your solo album's finished, is it?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, it's kind of. I'm always writing.
Yeah.
And I thought I had it finished, and then I wrote 3 more songs.
Yep.
After my dad passed, and it was like, wow, there's something different about these ones, and so we included them. And I had the record company guy come up last week, and Basil, and we kind of listened to everything and kind of got the concept because it's a bit eclectic. It's going to be called Food and Shelter. There's definitely kind of 2 sides to it. There's kind of the up. Positive, like dance kind of vibes, and then there's everything you can dance to. I mean, I can't do anything without it having a groove, but and then there's the kind of the other stuff that's look a little bit darker, but exploring different ideas, and I think any artist has to have that world of like, here's something I haven't done before. I don't really know if it works, but I like it. I like listening to it, and that's enough for me. And then you move on. Otherwise, my whole energy at the moment is about just recording so many albums. I've got dub albums I want to do. I might go out with a sound system solo thing, like it's called Transmitter Sound. So
how would you do that though? Like
the show might be
because that would be a massive...
me with the drum kit, and a couple of kind of speakers, so visually looks like a sound system.
Okay.
I'll probably just, there might be, and a little kind of trio and a band and some not turntables, but more sort of like it's the sound system culture where you it can be one person, but it sounds big.
Yeah.
There's I could use I could use the tracks that I've recorded and put them in a loop pedal and kind of work on top of that, and so it's half live, half kind of like Mad Professor type vibe, with Lee Perry. But that's still a work in progress as how I'm going to roll it out. But the album itself, I think is finished. We're just kind of doing some mastering things now, and I'm really happy with it. It's good. I mean, the idea of just making more music now is just is my kind of my trajectory for the next year at least, I reckon.
Well, this is what I had to do during COVID time because I was in the middle of because I'm in 3 projects, but One of
What do
them.
you play in barefoot?
I'm the bass player, man.
Bass player, I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I don't look like one, do I?
No. I just for some reason I thought I was going to say bass before, but I didn't want to. Yeah.
Another project of mine. There is no guitar in it. It's an alt rock thing. So basically, I split the signal and play bass and guitar at the same time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How do you split it? Just like top two strings, or just two signals going out?
Two signals going out. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And we were in the process of recording an album when lockdown happened. And so basically, I finished doing the album here in my studio on my own. I had to teach myself how to mix, and I'd never mixed before. Oh man, that's
welcome
a process.
To the world, mate.
And welcome to the world of frustration. That's what it is, and not knowing when to stop. But I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Knowing when to stop is the big thing, because you know what? There's always more than one right answer.
Yeah.
So, and you just have to kind of go, this works for me, and I'll call this version 1. Then if you're going to do something else, do something radical but completely different to what you did to version 1. But you find, you know, that you because you play in a band, you've probably got a sense of listening that's going to be a bit more advanced than your average listener to that, because you've had to learn songs and you've had to dissect things, and you've had to go, right, well, here's songs I've been listening to for years. I kind of know where the bass and guitar is and everything. So you're in the world anyway. You've probably got a good picture, and use references. Like, I'll put on a Bob Marley record.
I do that a lot.
And that's going to go, I'm in the ballpark. You know what? And that's just his version of the mastering. You can put up Bob Marley next to Madonna, next to 9 Inch Nails, next to Marilyn Manson, next to Toots and the Maytals, and they are all going to sound completely different.
Yep.
But they will have a sonic ballpark that's, you can kind of get an idea of like how much bass, how much treble, how much mids and everything. And that's all you kind of need to do.
Yeah.
And then let the mastering guide you the rest.
Well, the main thing I had to get my head around was parallel compression and side chaining.
Okay, yeah.
Side chaining was a mission for me. I got it.
Yeah. Is that because you put too much in and went out of phase, or?
Yeah, a little bit, and basically just not understanding from it, because I'd never done production like through a course or anything. I was teaching myself the whole time, but I know a lot of people that are producers. I mean, I've got Paulie B and Yamanui.
Oh, great! Well, I've done an album with Paulie B.
Yeah,
it's great.
And other producers that just go, this is what you send through a track, and we'll have a listen to it, and we'll give you some like ideas or some feedback.
Yeah.
And I love that community, particularly up here, that do it, because I do know all these producers.
Yeah, and it's good to have a bunch of guys that aren't secretive, that just kind of want to share their knowledge, which is beautiful.
But I have, going back to knowing when to stop, I have this little message scrawled on, because I built, during COVID, I actually built myself like a shelf to set my, because I got 2 Macs running here, as well as the synths, the multiple synths that I have and all that sort of stuff. So I need everything to be organized. And I've scribbled, because I don't build, I'm not a handyman. I can't do that. And I was pretty stoked I actually built a fucking shelf, to be honest with you. I've got scribbled in front of me, no, it's good, but in brackets, the K and the W, so it can be no, as in no, it's good, and also, as well as, you know, it's good. It's a constant reminder to me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's a constant reminder to me, like, it's okay. Like, seriously, if it sounds good, it's good.
And at the end of the day, exactly, you got to actually please yourself too. Yeah. I mean, and you can go around in circles. I mean, I've done mixes with guys where, you know, they've can we change this, change this and everything, and it comes back after 3 months. Not only does it go off the boil, but they end up going back to, look, you know, there's something about the original mixes that I now miss, you know, and so it's better just to kind of go bang, and that's why I like recording albums in the zone, like you know, try to record them all, track them all in the same like 2 or 3 week period, and then, you know, leave the mastering till later. But then, you know, just listening in front of the speakers going, yes, this is like, this is what I just finished doing yesterday. I'm recording this guy's album, producing it, and we finished at midnight last night. And so, and it was like, at that point we're going, nah, we're just getting a little bit, you know, too picky now. It sounds fucking fine. It sounds good. It's working, you know.
You overthink it.
And also walking into another room and not just hearing it in front of the speakers. getting another perspective and that type of thing. So, I love it. I love the process. My goal is, sitting in front, having a drum pattern that I like,
Yep.
and starting to write something. It's like, having a bass and just going, something's happening. I'm creating something.
Yeah.
And the music medium can take quite a while for a song to come together, which is why I've taken up drawing a lot too. I do a lot of painting now, because within 5 minutes I can have something that's kind of complete, or even a half an hour. Whereas like with songs, sometimes, a year, sometimes, depending on. So I had to have something, and I started that when I was on the road with John, actually, sort of getting into this kind of drawing process, and it was fantastic. And I've continued it, since doing a little exhibition and stuff. But that studio world, I think you'd know it. I think, any musician listening, any singer-songwriter that's in the creative process knows that buzz when you're kind of working on something, going, fuck, that sounds good, and putting it. And then as a multi-instrumentalist yourself, layering everything, when do you stop layering?
That's well, yeah, because it gets you go into those of synths, and like I've layered like train samples in the background, and like there's one song that's got a thunderstorm. There was actually a massive hailstorm that happened here a little over a year ago that caused a lot of damage, and I was on my back deck, and I recorded the actual sounds of the storm coming through. And
Amazing.
I actually layered that into the next single for this band, actually. And it's just I put a bit of phase on it and a little bit of trickery, and it sounds cool.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know it's a storm. It just sounds like something ominous in the background, and then it just clicks in. I love layering sounds.
I mean, it gets to the thing too, because when you got you get your drums, say you got your bass instrument. It doesn't have to be guitars, but your melodic, then you got your vocal and everything. Then it's kind of like, that's working, okay. What ear candy? And you always had a little bit of bits and pieces, but then you always kind of got the tempting of like, you're making a recipe and you go, well, a little bit more cinnamon. Okay, I might just throw some honey right here. How about some raisins? Who said Nutri-Grain? Nutri-Grain on that, so you can go over the top. And what I've learnt is the whole less is more is true, but that you just keep taking things out and go until, okay, that's still working, it's still working. Okay, it's lost something now. Then you kind of a recipe, ingredients in a recipe. I love it. I love that world so much.
I've come to appreciate
the possibilities.
Well, it's given me the ability to pick out things in songs that I'd listen to on an everyday basis, and I didn't know those other layers were in there, and all of a sudden I'm actually picking them out and just going, holy shit.
Great. Good on you.
Training your ear, which is cool.
What's your workstation?
I use Logic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I had been using I started on tape, on 4-track tape, and then 8-track, and then it went to ADATs with VHS beta tapes. Terrible.
Yeah.
That was syncing them up, and then I went to digital, called a Fostex D16, which was a hard drive, so it was still only speakers, and then I made the move into Pro Tools, into computers, and for editing purposes and everything, amazing for remixes.
Yeah.
But Logic is the same. Yep. But recently, I had to update my computer because during COVID, the other thing I did was I learned how to, I learned about film.
Yep.
I got cameras, lights, green screens, and I learned how to edit on DaVinci Resolve, which is like an editing platform.
Yep.
And so I had to get a new computer, and with that came the new GarageBand. Yep. And the new GarageBand is amazing.
It is. It's just a smaller version of Logic, basically.
I can still play. I've got a little duet interface here.
Yep.
So the last couple of songs I've recorded, started on GarageBand, and just ran a microphone into the other room and a long set of headphones and a remote keyboard, and record live drums.
Ooh.
Live. So there's a live element to it. And I was amazed. And then I just took it to my dig studio to kind of just a bit of a mix, because I got a Neve console and Shadow Hill and stuff. Okay. But it was like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how you do it. It doesn't really matter what you're working with, as long as at the end of the day, what's coming out of those speakers is working for you, and you think you want to share it with people, and you think it's offering something a little bit new, or a comment on something, or the groove is something like a great groove that you're celebrating.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you could, I appreciate and respect the excitement that you have about that world.
I actually didn't pick up my bass for about 3 months during when COVID actually hit, man. I basically just put it aside, and I just went into the mixing and engineering realm.
Beautiful world, and it's a skill. You could actually do that for people and actually get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with musicians. I mean, again, anyone listening would know that adaptation and that change is going to happen. Change and adapt. Change and adapt, and it's cool. You can, and different income streams, playing live, being a bass player in a session, mixing, producing, different bands and everything. There's lots of kind of ways to develop income streams in the industry, and you kind of have to nowadays.
Oh yeah, you have to definitely multitask basically.
Yeah. I mean, I'll come and cook for you if you want. Just $50 an hour. We can do something.
I used to be a baker, mate. I can bake.
Shit! Forget that. Okay. You'll see the error in my ways. Okay. Yeah.
It's a different thing to cooking, man. Baking's a science. It's a different thing completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nicky, we've gone to 40 minutes down the rabbit hole now. So
wow.
I know it goes quick.
What a rabbit hole.
I'll wrap this up. What are the dates for the Soul Bar? I want it's in January. So, but I don't have
16th and 17th. I think that weekend.
Yeah.
January.
Cool. Yeah. It'd be good to see you back up here, my friend.
Yeah, I plan to spend a bit more time up there too. I've got lots of good friends up there, and it's great. But yeah, come on down, and if you're coming to the any of those gigs, style up, dress up, look smart.
Oh yeah,
spend a penny.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Nicky. Hang on the line now. I'll do a little bit of debrief with you. But ladies and gentlemen, Nicky Bomba. Yeah.
Blessings.
Hope you enjoy that one. If I'm sweating, sorry, because it's hot right now and I have to try and keep everything closed. Big shout out to Nicky Bomba for doing that and coming back online with me, because there was a bit of a mix up last night. All good, we got it done. Do catch Nicky Bomba and the Sunny Coast Rude Boys when they come up. Well, Sunny Coast Rude Boys are here, but yeah, when Nicky comes up, come see it. Plenty more coming. I'm having a little break over Christmas, but yeah, we've got more scheduled after that. If you haven't done so, press the subscribe button. You'll be notified when more come up. Thank you for supporting local music, live music, Australian music, all sorts of music. You guys are legends. Cheers.